Most people are taught that success comes from grinding harder than everyone else, wake up early, work late, stay busy, and eventually you'll make it. But that belief system keeps people stuck in a cycle of overwork and underperformance. Billionaires operate on a different paradigm. They don't measure success by how many hours they put in. They measure it by what they produce. It's not about being busy, it's about being effective. They focus on outcomes, not activity. And that one shift in mindset changes everything. When you watch how billionaires operate, you'll notice they rarely have bloated schedules filled with back-to-back tasks. They aren't trying to tick off as many boxes as possible in a day. Instead, they get crystal clear on what truly matters, the few things that actually move the needle, and they build their entire workday around those outcomes. The moment they realize something doesn't contribute to the result they want, they either eliminate it or delegate it. Because time is finite, but focus is a multiplier. They don't trade hours for dollars, they trade decisions for outcomes. Let's be real. You could work 14 hours a day, 7 days a week, and still be broke, stressed, and stuck. Why? Because motion does not equal progress. A hamster in a wheel is in motion all day long, but it's not going anywhere. Billionaires are not impressed by effort, they're driven by impact. They know the difference between being busy and being productive. Most people stay busy because it feels safe, gives the illusion of progress. It's a way to avoid facing the hard truth. You're not getting the right things done. Billionaires cut through that noise. They ask themselves, what is the result I want? What's the fastest, most efficient way to get there? What is the highest leverage move I can make today? They don't fill the day with to-do lists. They focus on their must-do list, and that list is short. Here's the thing, every hour of your day is either an investment or a cost. Billionaires treat time like capital. They invest in high-yield activities, the ones that return growth, freedom, and scale. For them, it's not about showing up longer, it's about showing up smarter. That's why they spend time thinking, planning, strategizing, not just doing. Thinking time is not wasted time. In fact, some of the most valuable hours a billionaire will spend in a week involve nothing more than sitting quietly with a notebook, working through decisions that could change the entire trajectory of their business. While most people are buried in email, billionaires are asking, what's the one move that will eliminate 100 problems? Another major difference is their relationship with systems. A person focused on hours will think, I have to do this every day. It's just part of the grind. A billionaire will ask, how can I build a system so I never have to do this again? That system could be software, a person, a process, anything that lets them step away while the machine keeps running. Because the goal isn't to be the hardest working person in the room. The goal is to create a room that works for you even when you're not in it. This obsession with outcomes creates clarity. Clarity creates confidence. Confidence creates speed. And speed, when pointed in the right direction, creates results. That's the game billionaires play. They don't care how impressive your routine is if it doesn't lead to results. You can have a color-coded calendar, a fancy productivity app, and still not be producing anything of value. Billionaires don't worship routine, they worship result. They build habits that serve outcomes, not appearances. So if you're waking up every day trying to pack in more hours, ask yourself, am I chasing the clock or am I chasing outcomes? Am I doing what actually matters or just doing what makes me feel busy? Because the difference between a six-figure entrepreneur and a billionaire isn't just money, it's how they use their time. One works harder, the other works with ruthless clarity, focused only on the few actions that drive the biggest results. One of the biggest mindset shifts that separates billionaires from everyone else is their obsession with protecting and maximizing their unique ability. They understand that their time and energy are limited resources, and they refuse to waste either one on activities that don't fully leverage their strengths. This is why billionaires hire out almost everything that doesn't align with their core genius, They are hyper aware of what they are world class at, their zone of genius, and they structure their lives and businesses to allow them to live in that zone as much as possible. Most people get stuck doing everything themselves. They think it saves money, or they believe no one else can do it as well as they can. That mindset might work for a solopreneur, but it becomes a bottleneck fast. Billionaires don't try to be superheroes. They don't pride themselves on doing it all. Instead, they're architects. They build systems, they build teams, and most importantly, they build support around themselves to stay focused only on what they do best. They delegate aggressively, not because they're lazy, but because they're strategic. They understand that every task comes with an opportunity cost. If you're spending time responding to customer emails, scheduling meetings, fixing website bugs, or formatting spreadsheets, you're not spending that time closing million-dollar deals, raising capital, creating the vision, or building strategic partnerships. A billionaire thinks in terms of return on energy. Is this task something only I can do? If not, who else can do it faster, better, or cheaper? That's how they scale themselves. They don't look for ways to save money by doing more. They invest money to buy back their time, because time spent on high leverage activities pays dividends for decades. Now, this approach isn't limited to business either. Billionaires outsource their personal lives with the same intensity. They hire personal assistants, chefs, drivers, housekeepers, executive coaches, not because they're above doing those things, but because they understand that every hour spent on tasks that don't require their brilliance is an hour taken from their mission. It's not ego, it's efficiency. They want their brain free to think, decide, and innovate, not bogged down with low-value decisions like what to eat for dinner or how to organize their calendar. The key is that they hire before they feel ready. Most people wait until they're overwhelmed before they start delegating. Billionaires take the opposite approach. They delegate early so they never get overwhelmed. They build capacity ahead of the need. They don't wait until their schedule breaks. They build the team before the pressure hits. They trust that investing in people is what unlocks scale, and they aren't afraid to spend money on the right talent. To them, hiring isn't a cost, it's a growth lever. When a billionaire brings someone onto their team, they're not just offloading tasks, they're elevating their own thinking. Having the right people around them frees up their mental bandwidth to focus on big strategic problems. They use their team as a multiplier. They don't just ask, can this person take work off my plate? They ask, can this person execute at a higher level than I can in this area? If the answer is yes, the decision's already made. Even more importantly, they don't micromanage. They trust their hires, they set the vision, define the outcome, and then let the experts run. They measure based on results, not process. They don't need to know how it's done. They just care that it gets done better than they could have done it themselves. That level of trust creates freedom. And freedom is the real currency of billionaires. This is how they buy time to focus on their true gift. It's how they stay energized, creative, and in flow. They know that their unique ability is what creates the most value, not them being involved in every task. So they hire ruthlessly to protect it. They build a team around their genius. And in doing so, they scale their impact, income, and freedom faster than anyone who insists on doing it all alone. Billionaires don't think in straight lines, they think in exponential curves. They don't ask, how can I do more? They ask, how can I get more done with less of me involved? That's the difference between a hardworking individual and a billionaire, the mindset of leverage. For billionaires, leverage isn't just a tactic, it's a way of thinking. It's the lens through which they evaluate every decision. If something doesn't offer a return that multiplies effort, time, or money, it's either improved or eliminated. They're not looking for things that just work. They're looking for things that compound. Leverage is the secret weapon behind how billionaires achieve so much in what seems like so little time. They understand that personal output is limited. No matter how disciplined or hardworking you are, there are only 24 hours in a day. That's why billionaires don't rely on their own output. They scale it. They multiply their impact through teams, tools, and time. They look for ways to remove themselves as the bottleneck. Is instead of being the engine, they become the designer of the engine, someone who builds systems that work independently of them. When it comes to teams, billionaires understand that people are not just employees, they're leverage points. They hire people who are better than them at specific roles and then empower them to operate with autonomy. They don't build teams to manage, they build teams to lead. They don't want followers, they want owners, people who can think, decide, and deliver at a high level. That way, their vision gets executed while they're free to focus on new problems, bigger opportunities, and future strategy. A billionaire knows that every A player they bring on is like adding another high-performance engine to their machine. Technology is another massive source of leverage. Billionaires are constantly asking, what tools can I use to automate this? What platforms can I integrate to remove friction? They don't see tools as expenses, they see them as accelerators. Whether it's software that automates sales processes, systems that deliver product without human input, or platforms that run 24/7, billionaires use tools to create systems that work harder than any individual could. They're not trying to scale themselves, they're trying to scale outcomes. Every time they remove a manual step or introduce automation, they free up time and increase efficiency. And then there's time, the most finite asset of all. Billionaires obsess over how they use their time, but more than that, they look for ways to make time work for them. They use time as a lever by building things today that pay off tomorrow, next year, or even a decade from now. That might mean writing a book that earns royalties, building a business that operates without their involvement, investing in assets that appreciate, or creating content that works around the clock. They don't just spend time, they invest it in ways that produce returns long after the time is gone. That's real leverage. Most people live linearly. They trade hours for dollars, one task at a time, one sale at a time. Billionaires think in systems and multipliers. They don't ask, how can I get this done? They ask, how can I build something that does this automatically, repeatedly, and without me? They're willing to invest time upfront building framework structures and relationships that may take weeks or months to establish, but will produce outsized results for years to come. That's leverage in action, and the more of it they create, the less effort is needed to maintain or grow results. Even their decision making reflects this. Billionaires make decisions based on leverage potential. They don't chase every opportunity. They evaluate whether something has the ability to scale beyond themselves. If it does, it gets their attention. If it doesn't, it gets ignored. They're not interested in small wins. They're looking for exponential upside. They don't need 100 tasks done. They need one move that makes 100 tasks irrelevant. And because of this mindset, they often achieve results that seem impossible to others. Leverage is what separates the successful from the truly wealthy. It's not just working hard, it's working smart, then using that smart work to multiply impact through other people, tools, and scalable systems. That's why billionaires can build empires while others are still stuck in the grind. They build with leverage in mind from the start, knowing that the right structure, powered by the right people and the right tools, can do more than any one person ever could on their own. The idea that success only comes from working longer hours is one of the most dangerous beliefs holding people back. Most of the world is stuck in this mindset that more hours equals more results. But when you look at how billionaires operate, you quickly realize they don't work more, they work smarter. They approach work with clarity. They make bold moves instead of safe ones. They aren't afraid to go against the grain, break the rules, and challenge what everyone else accepts as normal. And because of that, they achieve at levels that seem unreachable to most. Working smarter starts with clarity. Billionaires don't wake up and ask, what do I need to do today? They ask, what matters most today? They know that not all tasks are created equal. There are a few decisions, a few actions, and a few priorities that drive 90% of the results. They zero in on those and ignore the rest. Most people fill their days with low-value activities that feel productive but change nothing. Billionaires eliminate those distractions. They don't chase every notification, every message, or every shiny opportunity. They guard their attention because they know that clarity is a competitive edge. If they're focused on the right things, they win, not because they did more, but because they did what actually mattered. They also protect their energy. Billionaires understand that their ability to think clearly and make great decisions is one of their most valuable assets. So they build habits and routines that fuel high performance. That might mean starting the day with silence, journaling, working out, or even blocking out entire mornings for creative thinking. They don't let the world dictate their time. They design their day around their energy, their priorities, and their mission. They treat their brain like a Formula One engine, something that needs care, maintenance, and precision, not chaos. But perhaps even more important than clarity and smart execution is boldness. Billionaires are not afraid to take risks. They don't wait for permission. They don't sit around perfecting things forever before launching. They move fast, they test ideas, and they trust their gut. Where most people hesitate, they act. And that boldness creates momentum. Boldness is often misunderstood as recklessness, but that's not the case. Billionaires don't take stupid risks. They take calculated ones. They gather information quickly, make a decision, and commit fully. They don't waste time second guessing. They trust themselves and the vision they're building. Being bold also means thinking bigger than everyone else. Billionaires don't ask, how can I make a little money doing this? They ask, how can I build something that changes an entire industry? They don't look for incremental improvements, they look for leaps. They're not interested in being slightly better than the competition. They want to dominate. That kind of thinking leads to bigger ideas, bigger actions, and ultimately bigger outcomes. And here's the truth. It's often not any harder to build something bold than it is to build something average. It just takes courage. What holds most people back is the fear of failure. But billionaires see failure differently. To them, failure is feedback, it's data, it's part of the process. They don't let fear stop them from moving forward. They know that success is never found in comfort zones. You have to take swings, you have to get in the game and risk striking out if you ever want to hit a home run. That mindset allows them to learn faster, grow faster, and outpace competitors who are still trying to get everything just right before they make a move. This smart, clear, and bold approach to work is what unlocks exponential results. It's not about doing more of what doesn't work. It's about constantly refining what does. Billionaires are always asking, what can I do less of? What can I do better? What can I do bolder? They're ruthless in optimizing everything. Their time, their team, their strategy, all to amplify results with less waste and less friction. They cut the noise and execute with speed and conviction. While others are overwhelmed and overextended, billionaires stay focused, energized, and aligned. That's how they win, not by outworking everyone, but by outthinking, outprioritizing, and outcommitting. They don't need more hours in the day. They just make better use of the ones they have. They make smarter decisions, clearer moves, and bolder bets. And that mindset is what separates those who build empires from those who just stay busy.